Hey, I wanted to show everybody a quick way to learn how to use a scanner when you're at a racetrack, specifically the Uniden Bearcat BC125AT, and I'm going to be covering how to use it for the Indy 500. This will work for any IndyCar race or a NASCAR race or any other kind of race, but this video will focus on the Indy 500 and using the config files that I'm providing for the Indy 500 or future IndyCar races. These scanners are super easy to program if you have a Windows computer. They can be programmed from the front panel themselves while you're sitting at the racetrack before the race starts. So if you don't have a Windows computer, that's okay, but I recommend finding a friend that has one, because it takes about a minute or two once you have a config file built out, or if you download one off a website like mine. Super easy, super fast. Also, when you find that there's a mistake or a change or anything like that, really quick and easy to make those updates and get them into the scanner pretty quickly. But if you can't, you can still program them from the front. This video starts assuming that you already have it programmed, and this is what to do once you're at the track. So if you need to learn how to set it up for the first time and how to get it programmed, check out my website. I go through everything you need to know about getting these programmed for the first time. But this video shows you how to now scan with your programmed scanner at the track. All right, let's get turned on. So if you're using my config file, I've set it up with a couple different banks already set to go. So the banks are set up so that you can choose which banks you're scanning. And this is important because the banks only hold a certain number of memories. Banks 1 and 2 are memories 1 through 100. 3 and 4 are 101 through 200. So what I've done is, let's say we want to hear Will Power. He's car number 12. So I want to put him on memory number 12. And that's in bank 1, which is 1 through 50. Memories 1 through 50. And then Romain Grosjean is car 77. That's in bank number 2, because bank number 2 holds all memories 51 through 100. Then the backups I just put on the 100. So Romain Grosjean backup I put on channel 177. So while I'm scanning, what I do is I scan 1 through 4 so that I'll grab any car or their backup while they're out there. And if I only want to grab the primaries, what I can do is while it's scanning, I can press 3, 4, and you'll see it turns off those 3 and 4. Now it's only scanning banks 1 and 2. So it's going to scan a lot faster because it's not even trying those secondary memory banks now. It's only looking at the primaries. The other thing I've done on my setup is I've added some bonus frequencies, I call them. On banks 8, I've added some local Indianapolis repeaters. These are what ham radio operators use to communicate. On banks 9, I've added some more repeaters that are typically used during severe weather. So if the weather gets bad, it's a good place to go listen to see what's going on. And on bank 0 or bank 10, that's a lot of the racetrack activities. So you've got the PA systems, you've got NBC broadcast stuff, you've got the closed caption TV, and you've got broadcast radio. Now, you don't want to really scan those necessarily because those are all typically always open, which means the minute it hits, it's just going to stay there forever. But they're there. So if you scan on them, if we were at the track right now, it would get to the first station and just stop because those never release. It'd be like if a driver just started talking at the beginning of the race and never let go of his button. So I like having those frequencies because I like to go to them at points in time. Like the radio broadcast sometimes is a good thing to listen to. They've got some good information, but I don't necessarily want to scan them. Now, during the race, sometimes you want to hear your driver, or you hear there's a crash, or you see a car coming into the pits and you want to see what's going on. So the way you do that is when you want to hear a specific car, you press the hold key up here, And it's going to stop on whatever car it just happened to be in the middle of. And that doesn't matter what it is. Now you type in the 3-digit number of the car. And I know all the cars are 2 digits, but you do the 3 digits. So it's always going to start with a 0 if we're doing the primary car. So again, using willpower as the example, we're going to type in 012. And then you press the hold button again. It's going to jump straight to willpower. If for some reason we know that willpower has had to switch to his secondary frequency, then it's the same thing. You press hold and do 112. Press hold again. Oops. I'm sorry. Since we're in hold, you just type in 112 and press hold, and it'll jump to willpower's secondary frequency. So then if I want to go to Roman Grosjean, I just type 077, hold, and it jumps over to Roman Grosjean. I can also use the wheel at the top here to scroll between. Now it will jump to empty channels here, and you can see these are all zeroed out because it's going to every single number that's there. So that's not always useful because it's just going through a bunch of random empty channels. So when I'm done, I can hit scan, and it will go back to scanning. Now, right now you can see it's blinking. It's only scanning number 1. So there's not many cars in Bank 2. If you look at the spotter's guide, you'll see that most of the car numbers, the vast majority of them, I think probably 70% are below 50. But if you were scanning right now, you would miss 51 and 66 and whatever. So make sure you press 2 so you're also catching those cars as well if you want to catch them. The one thing I'll say about my config file that's a little strange, I don't know how else it can be handled. Elio Castroneves is car number 06, and Callum Eilert is car number 6. There's no way to handle that on the scanner, so I just moved Castroneves to channel 16 because there is no car number 16. So I had to put somebody somewhere. So Castroneves is on 16 because he only races in the Indy 500. So he's 16, and I left car number 6 on channel 6. So that's how I handled that. So one of the most critical things you can find when scanning is hitting digital noise or some sort of issue that you don't want to hear, or maybe just a driver that you don't care about or you don't want to listen to anymore. And that's what this LO button, lockout, does. When the scanner stops on a channel that you don't want to hear for whatever reason, pressing the lockout button will no longer scan that channel. Pressing it once is a temporary lockout. Pressing it twice is a permanent lockout. Now, I can't do it in studio because if I press it, it doesn't know what to do because it hasn't stopped on a channel because I'm not picking up any signals here in the studio. But what I can do is press the hold button to force it to stop on a channel. So I'm just going to randomly hit hold and it'll stop somewhere. And so if I press lockout once, it says temporary lockout. And so now if I were to resume scanning, it's always going to skip channel 20. So if there was some weird digital noise coming through, maybe something's getting onto this channel and it's this loud, awful digital garbage sound, I can temporarily lock that out. Maybe it's during warm-ups and you want to lock out certain cars, something like that. You lock out a whole bunch on temporary. The next time you reboot the scanner, all those temporaries go away, so you get them all back. You can also get them back by pressing the lockout button again, and it unlocks it. You can also permanently unlock, so if you know that channel's just gone for the day, press it twice, and it's locked out forever, even when you reboot, unless you go back to this channel and press the button again to unlock it. So there's 2 ways to unlock. Just keep that in mind. So if you're getting something, or if you have a channel that for whatever reason, maybe someone's sat on their button and they're just holding that channel open all day. So every time the scanner comes to that, it always stops and it just hangs out there and it never continues scanning because something's gone wrong and someone's sitting on their button. And it's always scanning. Lock it out so you can move on. All right. The other thing I wanted to talk about on this is I've got 2 config files on my website, the tone file and the no tone file. Tones are a way to make sure that you don't get extra transmissions coming through on the scanner that you don't want to hear. So all of the cars and drivers are broadcasting an extra unhearable tone, either a digital code or a separate unhearable code. And the scanners are designed, if you set it, to ignore everything else that doesn't include that code. The problem with that is if they've changed it, or if I got it wrong in the config file and it's set, and they broadcast that and you don't have it set correctly, or I set it incorrectly, you'll never hear the driver. So if you're confident that your driver is out there talking and you're not hearing it, why? What's going on? So the first thing I'll do, let's use Will Power as the example here. So we'll press hold and we'll go 0, 1, 2, hold. All right, so we're sitting here on Will Power's channel and we're confident that he's talking. He's made a pit stop. We watched him pit. There's been zero radio activity. And maybe we're sitting next to someone else with the scanner. They're like, no, I heard him. He was talking. He said he needed his wing changed, whatever. We know that he's talking, and we've even confirmed that this is his frequency. The guy sitting next to me has the exact same frequency, and he heard him. And we're hearing other people on our scanner, so we know that our scanner is good. So the problem is we know that Will Power is talking. We know that our frequency is correct. We know that our scanner is working on everyone else, but it's not working on him for some reason. So maybe the code's wrong. No problem. We're going to go in and fix this real quick. We're going to hit Function, Program, and we're going to come down here to Set CT-CSS/DCS. And when we get to the Set CT-CSS/DCS option, we're going to press this Program E button right here. And we have an option here. We can either set this to off, which means we no longer have a code, which means we'll hear everything on the frequency. All right, it's going to open it up and we can hear everything. Or if the person sitting next to us says, oh, I have the code, it's, whatever, and we can see that ours is wrong, we can change it. It's either going to be a CT-CSS code or more than likely a DCS code. We can also set it to this search function. When it's on the search function, it's open, just like off, but when a transmission comes in, it will flash the code at us. Make a quick note of it, and you can come back to this same menu and set it so that it locks it back down. So let's say that either someone gives us that code or we use this search function, we see that code flash at us, and we set it. We're going to come back to the DCS code because that's probably what it is. Almost all the drivers use a DCS code. We're going to hit that enter button. And you're just going to scroll through these numbers here until you find the number that you want it to be. Who knows what it is for, why we had it wrong. Let's say it's 503. You're going to hit enter. And that's it. And then you scroll down to exit. And you're good to go. And it's going to say at the bottom now, it's DCS 503. So that's all you had to do to set it when it was wrong. Again, so let's say that was wrong. Function, and then the E for program. And we're going to come down here to set CT-CSS DCS. And we can set it to off if we're just completely flustered and cannot figure it out. Or set to search. And then exit. And now it's wide open. When a transmission comes through, it should flash at us what it is. And then we can go back to it, set it again, and now we can set it to whatever it was flashing as. So maybe we saw it flash and it said 454. And now it should only receive that audio when it's at 454. And that's it. That should work for you. We can hit back to scan. It's going to scan, and it will only allow Will Power's information to come through when it's on that proper code. Hope that helps. Hope that you enjoy scanning at the race. I know I do a lot. This is a great radio. It takes a regular headphone jack. You don't need anything special. This thing works right out of the box. Super easy. You can check out my website, theman00.com. That's 2 N's, 2 zeros. And hope to see you at the track. Thanks so much.